Hello guys, this is Karuna. Welcome back. In this video I want to, let's say, finally cover the topic of pitch and tuning, because some of you in the beginning of your duduk journey could be confused about what is the difference between pitch and tuning, and why when you, let's say, have just bought a new duduk and you play the drone and B, the sound which comes out of your duduk should match with the drone if you close 5 holes here on the duduk, but it doesn't, and you say it is out of tune, duduk is out of tune, I cannot play it, I cannot play on top of the drone, I cannot play with others, and so these kind of questions. And in this video I want to really tell you in details what is the difference between pitch and tuning. I will play in front of you using a couple of my reeds, like older and newer reeds, different kind of reeds, and you will see for yourself if something is wrong about it or not. Basically, what was happening was that I played the drone in the same note, the note of B. At some points it was pitched down, like it was 20 cents. The first reed I started to play in front of you was 20 cents flatter. Then I took the reed which was showing green on the tuner, so it was on 0 cents, really on the neutral note, on the note of B. Then I took something which was 20 cents sharper, then 30 cents sharper, and then basically it was 50 even cents sharper, and all of them I used on the duduk in A, and all of them sounded well. So everything sounded in tune. That means that the pitch basically has nothing to do with the correct tuning of the duduk. The pitch is just the height of a particular note, like of your duduk and reed combination. If you take another reed for the same duduk, the pitch will go up or down depending on this very particular combination. This is the main difference. If the pitch is sharper or flatter, it doesn't mean that the duduk is out of tune, it doesn't mean that the reed is out of tune, and it doesn't mean that the particular combination of duduk and reed is out of tune. But many of us expect that if they receive the duduk in A, so on 6 fingers it should be A, or on 5 fingers it should be B. Considering that you are playing everything in a correct way, with the correct lips position, with the correct fingering, shading, like or pressing lips, with all of these things, considering you know all of these things and you are doing this, and then you are sharper, then you take a sharper drone and you play on top of it and everything is in tune. We cannot say the duduk is out of tune. We can only say the reed is sharper. That's it. And in the past it was never a problem. Duduk players used to play always together, one solo player and one drone dumb player. And if the solo player says, okay, my reed is now a little bit sharper, could you please play a sharper drone with your reed? And then the drone player, dumb player, squeezes a little bit the pitch ring, he plays a sharper pitch, and then the solo player plays along with him with his sharper reed. It was never a problem. It has become only a problem in the modern time when we want to be really like correct, or we want to play with somebody with guitar or a piano or with some other instruments, and you should be in tune in this case, should be on the same pitch, I mean. Then it could be a problem, but basically it is not a problem. For me it is not a problem, and 80% of my own reeds are usually sharper or even flatter. When we talk about the tuning, what we mean is, let's say I don't know how sharp is this reed. I will check it right now by playing on top of the drone. On the note of B, that means on the duduk in A, this is 5 fingers, should match. No? If it doesn't match, I will pitch up the drone. Almost there. Maybe 10 cents up. Right now it's good. So we are checking the tuning by doing this. We are tuning into the keynote, into the drone, and then starting from that place we start checking every note like that. So if after the fifth finger, the fourth hole is out of tune relating to the fifth, then we say the fourth hole is out of tune. Okay? But if you are lacking knowledge and if you don't know that on the fourth hole you have to press your lips just a little bit to reach the right pitch of this note. If you don't know this, then on a well-tuned duduk you will be out of tune on the fourth hole. Because physically duduk is made like this, that this hole is made a little bit flatter. You must know this, and you must press your lips a little bit so that you are in tune on the fourth hole. If you don't know this, you cannot complain the duduk is out of tune. You see what I mean? The same goes for the next hole, for example. Next hole, the note of D. You have to keep your finger, the index finger, on the duduk here. This is the position where you cannot remove your finger from. And this position is not only for balancing the duduk, but also for shading this hole. So if you are too sharp on the note of D, and you are not keeping your finger here, you are taking it away while playing, that means, again, you are lacking knowledge and lacking practice. You don't know that this hole must be shaded a little bit. The same goes for the 3 fingers here. This is the problem of 100% of beginners, that all beginners are sharper on these notes. I've made a tutorial about this, how to be in tune on these upper notes. There are many things here you have to know. You have to also know how to deal with the pitch ring. I had again tutorial about this, how to be in tune on the upper notes, again a tutorial, how to play every note. If you are doing everything correct and you are off on this fourth hole, then we say the fourth hole is out of tune. And actually, if you are in Armenia, you are very lucky, because you can go just the next day back to the maker and say, make it a little bit sharper, it's a bit too flat for me. The maker can fix it, and it just takes him 1-2 minutes only. So he goes with the tool underneath, and then it's done, and it sounds as you wish. But if you are abroad, somewhere far away, still you can send your duduk to the maker. One more quite kind of negative thing is that, unfortunately, duduk can change its tuning after like months or maybe a year or years of using it, because the wood keeps changing a little bit and it could change a little bit the tuning. So in this case you can send the duduk back to the maker and say, okay, this hole, please check the whole tuning again. If something is wrong, maker will do it, will fix it and send duduk back to you. This is what about tuning. So It's about knowledge, how to play duduk, and it's about experience. It's about how good are your muscles here, the tiny muscles around the mouth, how correct is your lips position, how much you are an experienced player. Like a simple reason could be that the reed is still not ready to play. You poured some water and then you haven't waited for long enough. Just it needs 20 minutes and you started to play after 5 minutes. So the reed is too dry. It is out of tune normally. Only the experience can show it to you, and knowing well your own reeds. And also it's a question about pairing the reed with the duduk. Normally these days duduk makers have no selection of reeds. They just, okay, they got some, let's say, one order from you for one duduk, 2 reeds. Immediately he orders those 2 reeds from a reed maker, and then after a week or 2 or whatever time, the reed maker sends those reeds. And something is a little bit out. What does the maker do? Of course he would send it to you. He would not wait for another month or something that this reed maker will send more reeds to him. Normally these days it goes like what is received is sent to the customer. Unfortunately, very rarely do duduk makers have a selection of reeds, so they can really match every reed, and like only if it's 100% certain, then they would send it. So this is about the tuning. This, guys, you have to know the truth about what's going on in duduk world. It can be that the combination of the duduk and a reed is wrong. That means on some other key of duduk that reed could be in tune, but here it doesn't work. If something is wrong and you are doing everything correctly, then probably the reed could be the reason. It's just not matching with the duduk. Try another reed and see. Probably it would match. Yeah, if we play like that, note after note, following all the rules of playing every note correctly, if something goes off after you tuned into the keynote, it's also good to check between the lower notes and the upper notes. It can be that the upper notes are all good, like starting from the keynote from 5 fingers, and then suddenly if you close all the holes, all 8 holes, suddenly here is a little bit off. Usually it's like sharper here. Could be like this. So also check between upper and lower notes. If it is in tune, we say duduk is in tune. So between the 5 fingers and the fork, the F sharp, if it is okay, that means it's a very good sign. You can play. You can already play. And the 8 holes. Yeah, also sounds good. I'm doing it like this. And then I can hear if something is off or all is good. And I have to say more about the pitch. If the reed is just sharper, not flatter, I'm not talking about flatter, because flatter is already a problem. The reed should not be flatter. If the reed is flatter, this is rather the case for sending the reed back to the reed maker and asking for another reed, because this problem you could not fix by yourself. Yeah, you could remove a little bit of threads if there are too many threads on the bottom of the reed, and then you can try again. Maybe it will help you for like saving 10 cents or something, but not more than that. Usually it doesn't help more. And if you remove all the threads, the chance is high that the bottom of the reed could crack. So I lost like that already 2 reeds and I would never recommend to remove all the threads. But if the reed is sharper, the duduk maker doesn't care really. He would send it to you. A sharper reed is a lesser problem, much lesser than a flatter reed. Just be aware that, this is my observation, that softer reeds are usually closer to the correct 0 cents pitch than medium reeds and harder reeds, especially harder reeds. The harder is the reed, the higher is the chance that the pitch of such a reed would be sharper. And this is also about situations where, let's say, you are in a warm climate and you are playing the reed, and the reed is quite good, not so much sharp, let's say, and then suddenly you go to a colder climate with more condensate in the air. More condensate will be absorbed in the reed, more water, and the more water is absorbed, the harder becomes the reed, and the harder becomes the reed, the sharper becomes the tuning. That's why don't be very much surprised if you change your location from a more supporting climate to a less supporting climate, to a colder climate. The reed could become sharper because it gets harder. Know this. And if you order soft reeds, of course, be ready that the sound of a soft reed is not as good as from a medium reed or a hard reed, but instead you get most probably a more correct pitch. And also another very important thing, most of the makers prefer to make sharper reeds, so they do it willingly, because they know how the reed behaves in time. They know that in the beginning it could be sharper, but it could be quite easily fixed by adding more threads or by rolling paper around the bottom of the reed. Or you, of course, you can change the pitch of the drone, and then you don't need to put anything here. But in such case, with a pitched drone, you can play only by yourself, alone at home, not with other people playing other instruments. Then you cannot tune in because your pitch is different from their pitch. But for playing alone, it's normal. It's normal. You can change the pitch. For this, there are different applications. For example, Amazing Slowdowner you can download, or for MacBook I spoke about application Capo, C-A-P-O, and Neural Mix Pro as well. So these are the programs you can use for changing the pitch of your drone, and then you don't need to add or remove threads. And the reason why makers prefer to make it sharper is that they know that in time the reed becomes flatter. This lesson I started by playing the reed which was -30 or 20. This is one of my reeds which I got a couple of years ago as a reed, and it was really just on tuner green. It was on 0 cents. It was completely the correct pitch, and after some time it became flatter, and now I cannot fix it. I cannot remove threads, it will not help, you know, that's why. And on sharper reeds, after a couple of years, you still can keep playing. If the reed sounds still well, not buzzing, you still can use it. That's why makers prefer to make it a little bit sharper. So in the end, I want to say that to play everything with the right intonation on a well-tuned duduk with a good reed, still it's a science to play on such a duduk with such a reed with a proper intonation. You need proper muscles, you need a proper lips position, you need a proper knowledge for this. Know this, guys. So this is not obvious that on a well-tuned duduk you will be in tune. Remember this? And I think this is enough of talking for today. That was Karuna. Hope it will help you somehow. Bye bye.